Tommy Boyds.
Of course, conspiracy theories aren't new. They have been around as long as there has been mankind. But they've suddenly taken on a tremendous currency. Not just in this country, but in particular in the United States. Ever since, I think, the date one can pinpoint, the beginning of the conspiracy culture, ever since the day of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. It was only 24 hours later that stories about shots and puffs of smoke appearing from the famous grassy knoll were in newspapers in this country and, of course, right across the United States. And because that conspiracy theory hasn't gone away, will never go away, if anything has gathered credence down the decades, conspiracies will always set you thinking. In many ways, the Loch Ness Monster is a conspiracy theory because you're never going to be able to prove that there isn't one. Even though, of course, in our heart of hearts, we know there isn't one. A good conspiracy theory is one that you can't prove. And I tend to think, as well, one that isn't too unsettling once you've heard it. So there are certain conspiracy theories which are gathering momentum and have done ever since, for example, last summer, you know what I'm talking about, which we don't deal in on this show because they can be too painful. But winging across the Atlantic comes a new conspiracy theory which is utterly delicious, and I don't think it's going to upset anybody. And it is this. And the number is free call 0500 1053 89. With your reaction to this, or indeed with any top-up you want to contribute to any of the known conspiracy theories, or indeed if you want to open a new book yourself. What is the conspiracy theory? It's simply this. Everyone's heard, who's interested in conspiracies and UFOs, of a place called Roswell in the United States, where a lot of people believe an unidentified flying object hit the dirt sometime in the late 1940s. And a lot of people have heard of a singer called John Denver, who was enormously interested in outer space and died not particularly mysteriously, although some people have made allegations, in a light aircraft crash some 6 months ago. Well, thanks to one surprising piece of information, conspiracy theorists in the United States have put John Denver together with unidentified flying objects and have come up with what they consider to be a pretty watertight theory. And I just wonder what you think, because the somewhat extraordinary fact is that John Denver was born in Roswell shortly after the UFO is supposed to have hit the dirt there. Free call 0500 1053 89. And according to the theory, John Denver is part human and part, yes, alien. Because the theory goes that some of the remains of the creatures who are inhabiting the UFO contain parts of their reproductive systems, and it was possible to impregnate a human mother with the semen from an alien male. And the end result was John Denver. Free call 0500 1053 89. Like all conspiracy theories, it's absolutely obvious that it is as wacky as the bank holiday is long. And yet, it sustains. It sustains because it is rather odd that not only, and this is a fact, was John Denver born in Roswell, but, and this is a fact, John Denver was originally penciled in to be the first human civilian in space. And my understanding is that John Denver was due to fly in one of the shuttle flights. And of course it was the shuttle flight which tragically didn't make it. The Challenger flight, which exploded 2 or 3 minutes after liftoff. John Denver, for whatever reason, pulled out of that shuttle flight and someone else took his place. But these are all the elements which make for a classic conspiracy theory. Free call 0500 1053 89. It may be that you or someone you know has already heard this one floating around. It's one which is certain to emerge and re-emerge. It's certain to be one which is to be exposed to the wrath of those who believe that there's something vulgar, particularly when we're talking about somebody who is a real person, who has relatives who are still alive, whose records they might have in their own collection. But nevertheless, two remarkable facts about a guy who was a very prominent singer lend themselves most perfectly to a conspiracy theory. As the man said elsewhere, you couldn't make it up. John Denver was born in Roswell shortly after the UFO is supposed to have crashed there. He met his end in the air some years after he had planned to be the first human being, civilian human being, into outer space. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd, this is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
The nation's interactive station. Free call 0500 1053 89.
Bob calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Bob, good afternoon.
Yeah, hello, Tom. Listen,
Bob.
I've got the book here, John Denver, right?
Yeah?
I think it's, it's a load of cobblers what they come up with. Born Henry John Dushendorf, December 31, 1943. Now, that Roswell crash was July 1947. So what's the gestation period is about 4 years, is it? Can I give you a better theory? Because although he looked like an alien a little bit, this picture of him, I've got a better one. I think Rupert Murdoch is an alien. He looked like the Mekon out of the Eagle. Remember the Eagle comic?
Yes, I do, yes. So I'm just going back. He was born in Roswell then?
He was born in Roswell, yeah, but he was born December 31, 1943. Well, that crash of that spacecraft, whatever it's supposed to be, was July 1947.
Yes, but then your conspiracy theorists will point out that there had been sightings of UFOs in and around the Roswell area for years before the alleged crash of one.
Well, all right. I mean, you could make up anything then, couldn't you? No. I mean, they were. What they call the Roswell incident.
Yeah.
Is that one that was July 47. There's no dispute about that.
No, there's no dispute about that, but I'm really glad that you've come on and given us concrete proof that John Denver was born in Roswell.
Do you remember the Eagle comic? Do you remember the Eagle comic?
I mean, that is a great coincidence that he was born in Roswell. I mean, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you fall on that, don't you, like a hungry toad?
How many other people was born in Roswell?
How many other famous people were born in Roswell?
Anyone. Could be anyone born there.
Well, quite.
The whole town could be.
What?
Well, anyone round Roswell could be an alien.
Well, now you're talking nonsense now.
Well, anyone born in Roswell.
But, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, listen, it could happen.
Yes.
But what I'm saying
I'm sorry, now you're getting confused. Are you ringing up to prove me wrong or right?
I'm saying that anything's possible because you've got to keep an open mind.
Right.
Right, but on the other hand...
Yes.
I've just given you some, information...
Yes.
...which doesn't tie in with what you call the Roswell incident.
The important thing is that you have corroborated his birthplace.
Well, that's no problem.
Thank you.
What about Tommy?
Yes?
Tommy, are you still there?
Yes.
Right. Now, given that, yes, John Henry Dushendorf, which was his real name...
Yes.
...could have been an alien, and he even looked like some of these science fiction pictures of an alien, except his haircut.
Well...
I think he looks less like an alien than Rupert Murdoch does, who looks like the Mekon out of the Eagle paper.
Yes.
Comic. Do you remember that?
You said that. The Mekon was green.
Yeah, well, I mean, whether he's green or not, I mean, he is an overlord, isn't he? He's an overlord. He's controlling people's minds.
It started so well. David calls from St Albans. You're on Talk Radio. David, good afternoon.
Hello there, Tommy.
David.
Is it strange how people, when they say something and then they want to repeat it again immediately afterwards? But,
bane of my life.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Right, this John Denver thing, well, it sort of slightly fits in with part of my theory, but he doesn't seem to bear any of the physical characteristics of the known aliens that apparently the ones that crashed, because they were about 4 foot something tall, had a greyish sort of complexion. Maybe he did, I don't know. But I don't think there's any sort of physical characteristics which you could pick out on him and say, yes, that's an alien feature. Whereas if you genetically, you would inherit something, wouldn't you? So I think it's... but what is the point of them saying this, I wonder? Just because he may or may not have gone on a shuttle flight, which I've never heard about, and the plane crash. I mean, does the plane crash fit into their theory, or is that anything to do with it?
Well, you got 3 key components of UFO folklore, haven't you?
Yes.
Roswell.
What about the date of his birth, that chap? Are you disputing that, or...?
Well, no, listen, this is not my conspiracy theory.
No.
I know it's lovely to believe that it's what the host believes, so that you can have a ding-dong and call him a pillock, but I'm only passing on what is at the moment a conspiracy theory which is consuming interneties in the United States, thankfully, I would say, if I'm allowed that judgment, to a greater degree than anything which happened last August.
Right, so
if you're with me.
When did this start then? Last August?
No, I was referring to all that terrible Diana conspiracy theories,
right, another
which
thing,
I'm not interested in raising or talking about.
Well, my theory, which I have actually mentioned before, but repeating myself perhaps, is that we are in fact governed by the aliens, although we don't. Most people don't realise it, and everything that happens is set up by them. This is one of the main reasons that people can actually see into the future, which you can dispute or not, and whether you've ever had anyone. I can hear rustling a paper.
Yes, I'm looking for an article I was reading this morning about UFOs.
Right, because and you know that Uri Geller is on this evening. Well, he's been chosen by the aliens to actually demonstrate weird powers, but he's not been given the enough powers to prove it to everybody, so he can demonstrate them. But as you know, that most people don't believe that he has these powers. Although if you ever meet him, I haven't met him personally, but and he does one of his tricks or demonstrations, then I think they're pretty convincing. But they only convince you, but they don't convince other people. So although he's world famous, he's still not believed. So he's been given these powers, and along with various other people, and the mediums have also given the power to see into the future, to demonstrate that there's something else there that we don't know about.
Thanks for your call, David. I found what I was looking for, and it does tie in with what we're talking about in this hour, and it's a piece in today's Guardian about what's called the Bonnie Bridge Triangle. There's a new TV series on shortly which is called Invasion Earth, and as far as I can gather, it's sort of a BBC's attempt to pull off what the Americans have managed to do with the X-Files. But attached to that is an article about what appears to be a series of reasonably well corroborated sightings of something or other in the skies around Falkirk. I haven't read the article, and it isn't something I've heard about before, the Bonnie Bridge Triangle. But looking at the photograph which exists and has been attached to this piece, it's extremely difficult to work out just what the blob, and that's how it's described by the people who saw it and videoed it, the blob hovering quite close to the skyline in the distance in the picture might be. And I suppose the reason I'm mentioning it is because there will be people listening who are in that neck of the woods and who will have heard something down the pub or in the playground or wherever, and I'd be interested in hearing more. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Debbie calls from Liverpool. You're on Talk Radio, Debbie. Good afternoon.
Hello. Do you know you're the most boring, arrogant son of a bitch I've ever known in my life? I've got a comment on your John Denver theory. I think it's total and utter rubbish. You may as well say, because he was born to a German family, that he was part of, I don't know, he was Hitler's child. Yeah? Hello?
Yes, well, where's the German bit come in, Debbie?
He was born to Henry John Dusseldorf, New Year's Eve, as that guy said before, 1943. Now, you could easily say...
That doesn't make him German.
It's just as easily to say that he could be German.
No, that doesn't make him German.
Well, you know, how long are you saying that this alien mother was pregnant for?
If you're born in America, you're not German.
Oh, I realise that.
Right.
Please don't insult my intelligence.
Well, don't say stupid things,
that, but what you're saying is, well, surely you've got to be born in space to be an alien, haven't you? By that thesis.
No? That's a very good point, yes.
So, I mean, that alone sort of completely kaputs your theory, doesn't it, on the fact that John Denver is an alien?
Well, if you were paying a bit more attention, Debbie, you would be clear that this is not my theory.
Oh, sorry. Where did you actually get this from? Sunday Sport?
Well, what's in it this week? It's a very good paper.
I wouldn't know. I never touch it myself.
Well, then, in that case,
but it sounds
your
like the same
analogy doesn't really work, does it? Yeah.
Passer.
Yes. This is easy stuff, really, Debbie. Do you have any ideas of your own?
Pardon?
I said this is easy stuff. Do you have any ideas of your own?
What do you mean? Do I have any ideas of my own?
Well, just what I said, really.
Which is what? What do you mean? Explain to me, Tommy, because I really don't understand what you're trying to say.
Well, no, I mean, if you could just set aside some of the standard thought that you use. I mean, it may be. You see, you almost touched on a very interesting point. I mean, if an alien is, sorry,
almost.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, it was. I mean, if an alien is born on planet Earth,
Yeah.
then I suppose technically it's not an alien.
It's not an alien, no.
Yes. I mean, are both your parents English?
It is feasibly possible that John Alien is a half-breed between an alien and a human.
Do you think so?
I don't think so personally, but I will not dispute that that's possible. It is possible, but it must be some hell of a pregnancy, is all I've got to say, because the first Roswell sighting, as that bloke said before, was 1947. The first proper sighting.
Well, the crash.
John Denver was actually born 20 miles outside of where this happened, in Rachel, Area 51, as everybody knows. Yeah? So it's sort of infeasible.
Come on, Debbie, out with it. Come on.
What are you trying to say?
Well, it's quite clear that this is something that you're quite interested in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so well informed. So where are you coming
Anybody
from?
can read the paper, Tommy.
Yes.
Anybody.
So, yes.
You
Well,
know.
no, I don't read articles I'm not interested in.
Oh, well, I make it. It doesn't matter whether I'm interested or not. I think
Well,
it's
no,
good to have
it matters.
fairly broad sort of scan of every newspaper that
Yeah.
actually makes sense.
Listen, darling, stop being indignant and bullshit.
I'm not being indignant.
And let's have a conversation.
Do you mind? I'm not
Because
a bulge.
yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
It's clear that you have an interest in this sort of thing, but you're finding it a little bit difficult to set your stall out. So I'm not quite sure where you're coming from.
My stall is no. I don't think John Denver is an alien. It's entirely possible. I don't doubt that for a second, but it's a bit infeasible.
If it's well, of
But a
course
lot of
it is.
conspiracy theories are. But
well,
as you said before, a truly very good conspiracy theory is the ones that are covered up so they don't seem like a conspiracy. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Going back to what you know about the John Denver one then.
Yeah.
Is it true, as far as you know, that he did ask if he could take a trip into space on the space shuttle?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
But you don't know?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know for fact.
Right.
But I do know that he was totally in love with his plane, and that's how he died.
Yeah. But
Although I think he actually committed suicide, but that's another point entirely.
Well, I suppose it is, or not necessarily, actually. But you have to agree that the reason why this one's taken off in such a big way in the United States is because you do have 2, possibly 3, very impressive components for a conspiracy theory, don't you?
In which way? You mean the JFK? Or how do you mean?
No,
Explain to me what you mean.
Okay, well, he was born in Roswell, which is famous for known reasons.
Yeah.
And he expressed an unusual interest in outer space.
Yeah, but how many people actually live in Roswell? And how many of those people will have an interest in outer space?
But not one single person.
It's a bit like...
No, see if I can answer the question. Not one single person can put both those 2 credentials on their CV that I've just talked about.
Well, how do you know?
I'm certain of it.
Most people didn't have the notoriety
I'm absolutely... Well,
that
yes.
he had.
Okay, well, there's 3 then. I'm absolutely certain that nobody else who was born in Roswell on or around about the time that these UFOs are meant to have been flying around there also applied to go into outer space.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not as if this man was a
You see, up to a point...
Of course, if he asks NASA or whoever deals with it, I'm not totally sure, can I go on a space mission? To have a pop star, the sort of person who managed Peter, Paul and Mary, to go into space, that's a big coup. I know it's not a big deal, but it is a big coup, yeah? Now, they're not going to ask Mr. Bloggs, who lives down the road, to go up in space, are they?
Well, yes, that's who goes into space. No celebrities have gone into space before.
Yeah,
They're all Mr. Bloggs.
You get me wrong.
No, I'm not. You're getting yourself wrong.
No, what I meant was, the people who usually go up into space are academics, yeah?
No.
We'll put it this way.
If you're trying to tell me that Neil Armstrong was an academic...
Do you think there's accept you?
Neil Armstrong's as thick as 2 short planks.
Most people are, Tommy.
Yes, but they're not academics. Not academics.
Well, academics are thick as well sometimes.
Now you're beginning to sound like Rita, aren't you?
Who? Who?
Come on, keep up.
I beg your pardon.
You saw the film with Michael Caine.
Oh, please don't. You're going to be saying we all talk like Brookside now, aren't you?
Well, don't ever go at academics then in a Rita-like way.
I've got great respect.
It's an erudite point.
Of course I have. But just because you've got so many degrees does not mean to say that you're not thick. You're academically minded, but you can still be thick.
Yes.
Of course you can.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't always follow that Mr. Joe in the street isn't Intelligence.
Well, it's
Just
been
because he hasn't got a degree?
A glorious scattershot call, Debbie, and I think you've winged just about everybody.
No, not at all. That is not my intention, but I tell you something, you went off rude to that woman before.
Which one?
The old lady rang up.
Yes.
Yeah, you're very rude.
Well, she wanted an argument.
No, I think she was trying to be pleasant to you. I think it's you who wants the argument.
No, she rang up and said she wanted to have an argument. That's why people ring up. They like an argument. I don't mind. I have to take it and go home.
Obviously not, because you get paid for it. Of course, it's your job.
Yes. That's the deal.
Uh-huh.
What do you want me to do? Agree with everybody?
No, not at all, because you're a bit like, is it darkest half, the devil's advocate? Of course you've got to put yourself in a position where you're going to become base to people who want to fight you. Of course you are.
Yeah. So, what's
And
the
you
problem?
you wouldn't be where you are now. I don't mean, you wouldn't be sitting in that studio now, unless you were prepared to do that. Of course not.
Yes.
I totally understand that. And it was never my intention to argue with you. But I do think you were a bit rude to that lady, and I think maybe you should apologise.
Definitely not. No. Definitely not. She loved every minute of it.
Would you talk to your mum like that?
Obviously.
Would you really?
Yes. Wouldn't you?
No.
Why not?
Because you'd probably hit me, actually.
Ah, well, if you're daft enough to have a violent mum, Debbie, then,
Oh, come on, that's hardly fair.
That's what you said.
No, that's not what I said.
Yes, but you said she'd hit you.
If I spoke to my mother...
You said she'd hit you. You come on the radio, accuse your mother of violence in front of the nation, and that's my problem?
What, my mother's violence, therefore that's your problem? Then
Well-
surely I think, Thomas, it's my problem.
Well,
if my
is it?
mother's violent.
Is your mother
However,
violent?
No, she's not actually.
Well, what did you mean then?
If I spoke to my mother,
Yes?
like you spoke to that lady, I would expect her to have a clip at me because
See, your
you
trouble,
can't talk to
Debbie.
people like that.
Your trouble, Debbie, is that you're ageist
How am I ageist?
because you think that old people
That's
deserve
ludicrous.
special treatment.
No, not at all.
Yes, you do.
Old people can be just as rude as young people.
Yes.
In fact, it's usually older people who slam doors in your faces.
Exactly my point. You got a lot
So
of things.
I understand that.
Oh, yes. I wish you
But
wouldn't.
she just seemed like a very frail old lady who just didn't deserve to be spoken to like that. That's all.
You've got a lot of thinking to do, Debbie, because it's the same with disabled people. Okay.
Go on.
Like, take blind people for example.
Yeah.
Now, if a person who is so-called disabled, right, wishes to be accepted as an everyday member of society, which is what we all want,
Yeah.
right, then they're not allowed to expect special treatment, okay,
Yeah.
or to be tolerated using their disability as a credential,
Well, right, yeah.
okay,
I agree with that, yeah.
and people like you, right, shouldn't say that people who you think can't look after themselves.
Did I say
deserve-
that lady couldn't look after herself? She'd give you a pretty good run for your money.
your call is heavy with the implication that frail little old lady couldn't look after herself. Now let me tell you, Mrs., that compared to you, right, you couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding. She can handle herself, kidder. She doesn't need you.
Kidder? Oh,
Yeah.
now who's talking like Rita? Thomas, that's not what I said at all.
Listen, I've enjoyed talking to you, but I've got
No,
to go.
you haven't. Don't lie.
I have. I've never lied, Debbie. I'll tell you one thing. I'll never lie here or anywhere. I'll never lie.
What, you've never told a fib in your life, Tom?
No.
I don't believe you. I think you're fibbing now.
Well, I'm not.
So anyway, what's your opinion on John Denver? Do you think?
Well, as I said, we've got to go. But it's been lovely talking to you, but I'm sure you've got friends. Free call 0500 1053 89. We're discussing the John Denver conspiracy theory, which is sweeping the United States. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. The big day, we announce who's won the fabulous Lotus Elise sports car in Talk Radio's registration rollover. Everyone who decided to keep their unique Talk Radio registration plate is now in the draw to win the Lotus Elise. That's a car worth over £20,000 and it's being finished off at the Lotus factory right now. If you wanted to buy one, you'd have to join an 18-month waiting list. It's What Car's open-top car of the year. It's made from super lightweight aluminium chassis, and that means it weighs less than a Mini. The first part of the draw takes place tomorrow morning with Kirsty Young and Bill Overton on the new Talk Radio Breakfast. So to find out who's going home in the Talk Radio Red Lotus Elise, join Kirsty and Bill from 6:30 a.m.
This is Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation.
David calls from Cambridge. You're on Talk Radio. David, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
David.
Yeah, what is a conspiracy theory, or whatever it is?
Good question.
thank you.
What age are you?
I'm 12.
I don't know is the answer.
You don't know?
No.
Oh,
Because
sorry.
I since you've answered, you've asked a question, a good question,
Yes.
I feel as I...
fancy joke. No.
Really? You're
No.
joking.
It's my friend's girlfriend thinks you've got a very nice voice.
Who, me?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 12 too.
Oh, crikey. She's got a lot to learn, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has.
I think we'll leave it like that. She's got a lot to learn.
Yep.
Okay.
That's just my friend in the background.
I know. Do you know, it's a funny bank holiday, this. Shall I tell you why everybody's a bit gaga?
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because this bank holiday exists as a celebration of communism,
Yes.
and there isn't any.
Right. Interesting.
It's all gone.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
They did away with it.
Oh, right. Okay. So then what's this word you're saying then? Communism?
Communism.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic political theory whereby everybody was equal.
Oh,
and we'd all have enough food. And we'd love each other.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so they got rid of that quick.
Okay.
So you're going to have to be a free market entrepreneur
Oh, okay.
when you get older.
Yep.
And I dare say you'll make quite a good job of it.
Yep.
Anyway, shall we just go with a quick chorus of Away, 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 Away?
Yeah?
Okay, ready, go.
Huh?
Go on, all of you.
What are we doing?
Away,
Oh,
away.
right, okay.
With the World Cup coming up. I like it.
Very good.
Hey, stay there. I'm going to get one or two other callers to join in.
Okay.
Getting
some more callers to join in.
Well, you know. Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring in William, who's calling from Leicester. William, are you there?
Oh, yes.
William, before you make your point, do you know how to sing Ole, 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 Ole?
Actually, I don't.
David?
Yep.
Could you teach William in Leicester how to sing Ole, 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 Ole?
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Tommy.
No. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. Man, you!
Have you got that, William?
Yeah, is that a conspiracy to put me point or what?
Well, you can put your point after you've sung Ole, 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 Ole.
Oh, well, I decline that offer, thanks
Why?
very much. Well, I don't perform in public, musically unless I'm paid for it.
David, you reckon Tommy's bald?
Don't be a wimp, and no, I'm not bald. Are you bald, William?
Am I what?
Bald.
David, you reckon
Bald.
Bald.
Did you say bored or bald?
Bored, either bald or bored.
With no hair?
Well, I'm bored now, yes.
But are you bald?
I'm not bald, no.
No?
No.
We're having a funny Monday, William, because it's a bank holiday.
Why am I in today?
Because everybody seems a bit gaga today. I don't know what it is, do you? You've got these 12-year-olds here who are completely off their trolley.
Yeah, well, that's, I suppose you could say that they're in a holiday mood.
Are you?
In a sense, yes. Well, I was, yes.
But you don't fancy a little bit of a
I've
harmless
just been hanging on
sing-song?
here a bit long, you see. I'm beginning to get a bit exhausted.
Well, we're paying for the call.
Okay.
Ole, 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 ole. Anyway, what was the point you wanted to make, William? Hello, William?
Yes?
Yes, is there a point you wanted to make?
Yeah, well, the original point was, before you diverted there, which is actually demonstrates my point. Do you not think there's a conspiracy to produce conspiracy theories in order to distract people from the real conspiracies which are going on?
It's a very good point, William, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, look, you lads are going to have to clear off now.
Oh, all right then.
Because there's a lot of adults who want to make important points about conspiracy theories.
Got any hair either?
And, we can't have you pulling people's legs and teasing them generally, okay?
All right then.
You know.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what.
What?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Go
Okay.
on. Off you go.
Okay, bye.
Shove off. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Well, what does make sense? Let's talk to Patrick, who calls from Accrington. You're on Talk Radio, Patrick.
Hello, Tommy.
That's been a very gaga Monday.
Actually, I quite enjoyed it because it is a bank holiday, really, isn't it?
Yes.
And people, well, they work hard, they need a day off, and they've got to let their hair down. Are you there, Tommy?
Yes, I suppose that's fair enough.
I'm sorry, mate. I have a bit of a controversial theory that me and some of my friends, we've talked about before. And we actually think that it's possible that it's actually our future. People in the future are coming back and actually in time machines. Rather, an alien, everybody expects an alien to be from another planet. But could it not possibly, with technology as it's going, that people in the future are coming back to change things like DNA and other things to make the future better and brighter for the people then? Am I talking rubbish or what? What do you reckon?
No, the thing is we'll never know really. My son was asking me about things like this the other day, and I said to him that maybe it's best not to begin thinking about these things because we'll never know for sure one way or the other what the truth is, will we, until we die?
No, Tommy. But
So-
on the other instance, I know the galaxies are that big, but the stars are that far away,
Yeah.
and I see it on telly. I've seen all these
Yeah, no,
sci-fi.
I know
How can
that.
all these ships
Yes.
be coming every other week?
I know that.
Sorry.
But the point I was making to my boy was there's not much point thinking about it because we'll never know. So maybe you should just get on with things that are worth doing.
Exactly. I can't argue with that point, Tommy.
No. Like
I
drop
do
round and
agree
see your
with
old
you.
mum.
It was just an alternative point I was trying to bring to your listeners.
Thank you. We're grateful for that. Time travellers. I don't know if you ever saw that one with Scott, what's his name? The Quantum Leap programme. It's one of those programmes you kind of dip into if there's nothing else on. But the last episode was quite well put together. And it suggested that there was a god, which is always a dangerous thing to stick into a bit of light entertainment. Although we do it from time to time. Gary calls from Stockport. You're on Talk Radio. Gary, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Gary.
Lovely show.
Thank you.
I think there's a bit of a World Cup conspiracy going on, maybe, but...
What's that one?
Can I change the lyrics to that? To Je suis, parlez-vous, non c'est... Because it should be French, shouldn't it, really, but rather than Olé.
Fair dues.
But I thought it was fun anyway. I would have joined in. Before I start, I love you, we're equal, and come around for dinner sometime. But this John Denver...
Yeah?
They might have a point with his dad was Henry John Dusseldorf, did someone say?
Yes?
Well, when I start to analyse anything, I start with numerology, just as a sort of basis to see if there's any sense that, well, obviously it's the same as a conspiracy theory, it's just a part of a system. H, J and D, if you take them as just the initials, D, H, I, J, blah, blah, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, the missing letters from D to H is E, F, G, I, symbolic of effigy. Denver adds up to 32, which is the atomic number of aluminium as well, and Roswell adds up to 32, so there might be a point.
Gary, thank you. And Annie's song was a hit for two artists, John Denver, Denver being a place in America where there are frequent UFO sightings, and James Galway, Galway being a place in Ireland where there are frequent UFO sightings. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd, this is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Hello, I'm Peter Hitchens, columnist on The Express and a
Free call 0500 1053 89.
Nigel calls from Barnsley. Nigel, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Nigel.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to your show, and it's just that you're talking about conspiracy theories, and you'll never know, but the thing is you don't need conspiracy theories, because I do know that it exists. They do exist. Because I have they try and interfere with me all the time. But, this is the problem.
This is the problem?
Yeah. It's a problem for me, anyway.
I would have thought it was your meal ticket, really.
My what ticket, sorry?
I would have thought it was your meal ticket, really.
Meal for what?
Well, I mean, if you're in some ways a chosen one...
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. It's just that I decided to experiment with making objects that I have had a feeling would get in contact, and they have been in contact, but they're not particularly happy about the fact that I've done it.
So, what are the objects?
I make them out. It's fairly cliched stuff, really. I mean, it's like I get scrape moss from centre of stone circles and make things usually make out of earth things, out of salt and wine. But I mean, it's all.
And why are you doing that?
I've well, I'm an artist, but I started to dabble in other things.
Yes. Why?
Because I had these. There weren't visions or anything like that. Really, it was just a need to have to do it. The problem is, of course, it could just be I incur sort of psychosis. So therefore, what I'm seeing when they do follow me, when I start to meddle around with it again, they come and follow me and watch me. But I mean, it might be psychosis, but whether it's real enough to me, so therefore it's real.
Have you talked to anybody else about it?
Yeah, I talked to my friends about it.
Well, what would happen if you went to your doctor and said that you thought perhaps that you were...
Because I don't need to go to the doctor. I'm able to. I just don't bother. They get quite scary, so I don't bother to. I stop doing it for a while.
Yeah.
But then occasionally I get followed to work. I cycle to work. I get followed in a car. I just know it's one of them. I just know that we're completely connected into an intergalactic system. We just are. It's obvious, but most people, 99% of the people, won't accept it. I can appreciate that. I mean, but
does knowing what you know make you feel overall a little better, or a little worse?
It makes me feel better because it helps the magnificence of everything.
Yes. Oh well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, stay happy.
Yeah, okay. So you're not actually Tommy, are you?
I'm sorry?
Who am I talking to?
Well, my name is Tommy.
You're not Tommy Boyd, though, are you?
I'm not with you now.
Oh, right, okay. No, it's okay. I thought you might have been, I thought it was something else. Sorry, Tommy.
Not at all.
Okay, well, I just wanted you to know that you can know the answer. The answer is that we are connected.
Well, Nigel, thanks for your call. Hang in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Cheers, mate.
Bye. Roy calls from Edinburgh. You're on Talk Radio. Roy, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hello, Roy.
Hi, I think Nigel had been let out for the long weekend, but anyway.
Yes.
Tommy, I was quite surprised that you haven't heard of the Bonnie Bridge incident, because around this area, in Scotland, it's well known. It was actually on a documentary the other evening, BBC One Scotland. It was two young chaps returning home from work late at night, and suddenly the engine in the car stopped, and there was a piercing bright light, and there was a craft hovering above them, and two beings appeared, and they didn't talk or anything like that. They just seemed to work in unison, and they took one of the chaps from the car into the craft, and the other chap his body seemed to just shut down. The chap was brought back to the car. He was white and shaken, and they got home. They generally took about half an hour. This was at 10 in the evening. They got home at 1 in the morning, and I saw them on this documentary, Tommy, and I'm convinced these chaps were not lying. They're just two ordinary chaps. Also, a police officer that night reported seeing a strange craft. This was a high-ranking police officer. He wasn't on duty. He was just going somewhere, sort of thing. And he was also on the television, and I'm convinced these chaps were not lying, Tommy. That's all I wanted to say.
The television programme which triggered this report that I was reading today, Invasion Earth, that's set in Scotland?
Yes, BBC One Scotland.
Yeah.
And the chaps were on it on television.
Yeah.
And said their wife, one was married, and his wife expected him home about 10:30. He didn't get home till 1 o'clock. The chap in the car had no idea, no concept of time at all. His body just seemed to shut down. As soon as the other chap was placed back in the car, the engine started up again, and they went home.
Right, thanks for calling. That's obviously one that we're going to hear more about. I can't help feeling that somebody is going to say that haven't the Scots got enough to contend with the world's best monster theory without climbing aboard the UFO game. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Port and Chester on 11:07 a.m. The conversation of the nation. 10:53, 10:89 a.m. This is Talk Radio.
Here's Andy calling from Bristol. You're on Talk Radio, Andy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Andy.
Yes, I have proof that your theory is absolutely correct via the Annie's song hit by John Denver of 1973, I believe. The anagram of Annie's, if you include the last L from Roswell, becomes Alien Song. And as you know, in any conspiracy theory, you are allowed at least one change of letter in any conspiracy theory anagram. Would you agree?
Well, I didn't know that last bit, which is very handy in this case, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yes.
Love your show, Tommy.
That's very nice to talk to you, Andy.
Love your magpie.
So, I suppose then, if we're given a little bit of licence with anagrams, the world is one's lobster, isn't it, really? And Tony Blair can become an anagram of I Shot the Sheriff. James calls from Cambridge. You're on Talk Radio, James.
Yeah,
Good
hi, Tommy,
afternoon.
how are you?
I'm all right, how are you?
I got some questions to ask you.
Okay.
Okay, are you bald?
No.
How old are you?
46 in December.
Okay, so I can't think of any more questions to ask, but...
Can I ask you some questions?
Go on then.
Are you bald?
Yep.
And how old are you?
I'm joking, no, I'm not. I'm not bald.
How old are you?
12.
Is your dad bald?
Yeah.
So when are you going to go bald?
I don't know.
It's funny, isn't it? Are you back at school on Tuesday, or have you got
Yeah.
the whole week off?
Yeah, Tuesday.
I'm trying to work out in my own mind, and you sound to me like an intelligent person.
Yeah, I am,
Yeah, I
definitely.
thought you were.
Yep.
I'm trying to work out in my own mind why so many people are so gaga
Gaga?
today. Yes.
You calling me Gaga?
No, I'm saying that, but a lot of people who've been on today have been gaga.
What, like David?
Most of them.
Oh, David's my friend. You know the one that was on earlier?
Oh, I see. It's a network, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, fair dues.
He's my inspiration.
Well,
Look at that.
you lot are, you lot are a lot less gaga than the average.
Thank you.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't know what to make
You
of
want
that.
another song?
No, I'll skip it, actually. I was just going to say, I don't know what to make of some adults sometimes, but then there's some younger people, too.
Oh, we sing brilliant songs.
I know
Very
you
glad to
do.
hear us.
I know you do. You do. And your voices are fresh and full of optimism and vigour.
I know, brilliant.
Yes, you haven't had the hope kicked out of you yet by life, have you?
You could sing a song, couldn't you?
Well, come on, then. What are we going to sing?
Okay, what are we going to sing? Wait a minute, I'll just ask my friends. What are we going to sing? Andy Cole song.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Andy Cole, Andy Cole, Andy Cole. He gets a ball, he scores a goal. Andy Cole, what a goal. Andy Cole. He gets a ball and scores a goal. Andy Cole.
Fantastic. Thank you. John calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. John, good afternoon.
Hello, Tom. Yeah, that was brilliant, that, wasn't it?
It was?
Yeah. I feel a bit stupid now because the researcher told me this is quite normal, but there's a bit of a conspiracy theory going around with jockeys about a certain jockey that's an alien.
Which one's that?
His name's Jim Cullity.
Yes?
Yeah.
Jamie Cullity.
Is that his name?
Yes?
Ah. And, well, I thought it was Jimmy.
Well, anyway.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, it was based on the fact that he didn't have a belly button, but the researcher reckons it's that's quite normal, so I think they've got it all wrong now.
I don't know. I did not know. Jason Cullity.
Jason?
I can't remember.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's Jimmy.
And, well, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not Jermaine, is it, really?
No.
The name?
No.
The question is, how do you spot an alien? Now, it was Little Fingers in one television series. And a tendency to make the electric wires sing in another film, but you're saying maybe the absence of a belly button.
Yeah.
John, thanks for your call. Let's round up today's extravaganza by talking to Tanya in Belfast. You're on Talk Radio. Tanya, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. I've just got something to relax you for a bank holiday.
Lovely.
So, okay, take it away.
Stick it on. Stick it on. She comes back again.
Hello.
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 Hello, Tanya. What's happened to you there?
This is Keith.
Ah, that's Keith. I was going to say. The miracle of the piano. All that testosterone from one song. Keith, who was playing?
Me.
That was good.
Thanks.
That was rather beautiful.
Thank you.
Did it have a name? Not that it needs to.
No, I'm not sure. I just heard it off the radio.
Whatever, it sounded good. Thank you for that.
It's okay.
Stand by for Peter Hitchens. Damn. I'm Tommy Bond. I look forward to talking with you from 2 tomorrow. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.